Welcome to the South Bay FM Video Podcast. Join real estate broker Michael DeLay and Jeff Becker as they take you on a tour of one of San Diego's most vibrant communities, the South Bay. Michael and Jeff delve into the local real estate market and explore topics that matter to current residents, buyers, and sellers. Whether you're a longtime resident or considering a move to the area, this video podcast is your go-to source for all things South Bay. So sit back, relax, and let's shine a light on this amazing community.
Welcome to another episode of South Bay FM. This is Mike DeLay, the host, and I'm here with Jeff Becker, the co-host.
Hello, Mike. How are you today?
And we are so excited today. We have the Mayor of Chula Vista, John McCann, and his wife, Myssie, here.
Great to be with you.
Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Well, it is just our pleasure and our honor. And with this South Bay FM, we're really looking to allow the community to have a place where they can learn things about how to get involved in the community. And there's no other person than you that can share with them some of the cool, neat things that can be, or that not only going on in the community, but of course are going to be able where maybe they could get involved. And I think...
Can I jump in for 1 second, Mike,
sure.
and then I'll let you go. You took the words right out of my mouth. When you came up with the idea for this podcast, you asked me to help. There would be a co-host. I said, what's it going to be about? And you said community. And I can't think of two better guests. You grew up here.
Yes.
I knew your parents.
Yes.
You've raised children here. You have businesses. You served in the military, all kinds of services, elected, volunteer. So happy to have you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a
Thank
fourth
you.
generation Chula Vista Benita, yeah, so I've been here forever.
Wow, 4 generations.
Yeah.
That is really cool. That is really cool. So our goal today is to first get to know the McCanns and I think for people that might be listening for the first time, especially younger listeners, we would love to hear the story of a young married couple, how you raised a family, how you stayed in politics for over 20 years, 21 years. You're going on your third decade. Is that correct? And our goal is to show people how can you be involved in the community like the McCanns, or maybe at a lesser degree, but it definitely can't be of a more degree, right? So our goal is to let them see how they could have a pathway of being involved in life, involved in a family, and involved in the community. And so maybe you guys could share your history together, Myssie and John.
Well, it was something that I've always believed in. My family always instilled into me was service to the community. And I was very fortunate starting out in Boy Scouts and then being in being in sports. And it was always giving back and how you could do better and being a good teammate. And being a good community member really is being a good teammate. And as I progressed out of college, I was recruited to be on city commissions and thought that would be great, supporting nonprofits, supporting organizations like AYSO Soccer and being a coach, and then also on the board of directors. And then also finding a great person as a spouse that is very supportive and that you work together. And that really is a key part of what I do, is having a great wife, and we're able to support each other and being able to go out in the community and help others.
That's awesome. And Myssie, tell us a little bit about your background too.
So I think John and I were a great match. We're soulmates for sure. But kind of similar, background as far as our childhoods, go. Our parents were very involved. My parents were super involved in the community. My dad was a founder of the Benita AYSO, founding member, and started that program back in the day. My parents were married for over 50 years, and they had a local restaurant. My dad was in construction. My mom was in real estate, and always just really active in the community, and they taught us to do that as well. So same thing, Girl Scouts, sports, everything else, and 2 very active parents in my life and my upbringing. John and I both went to Bonita Vista High School and graduated 2 years apart. Did not know each other. He dated my sister's best friend, actually. And we kind of both, went to college, came back, and pretty much for me, love at first sight. Met him, and I told my roommate that night I was going to marry him. and
Wow.
took him a little longer. I kind of had to hunt him down and follow him, but managed to be in the right place at the right time, and we started dating, and we were married less than a year later, actually.
Wow. How many years now are you guys married?
Next month, 25 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
so,
awesome.
just like John said, a spouse that's supportive. I think the biggest thing for us is that I've always viewed my role as his wife. That's what God intended me was to be his wife and help support him in whatever he needed. And at some point in time, there would be my season would come along, which my season has, and now happily a broker at a very successful real estate brokerage in Coronado and property management company, and it's been a wild ride up to this point with politics and raising 4 children and now a grandchild, and so it's
Your grandparents now?
we have a 6-year-old grandson. Next actually,
Yes.
he's born on our
Oh, my
anniversary.
good. Well,
He's our anniversary present,
congratulations.
so he'll be 6
Wow.
next month. Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's amazing.
That's
It's
awesome.
super fun. So
You're not old enough to have
I know. I don't think so.
Well, and it's really interesting because people will find out that we went to the same high school, and they always think that we were high school sweethearts, and we really weren't. And it was interesting because we obviously met each other after college, and but there were so many commonalities when we talked. And I know when we were looking to have our wedding, and we needed to save a little money and had to cut down on our invite list. So she brought hers and I brought mine. And since we grew up in the same community, there were a lot of same people that we invited.
Right?
Overlap. So we were able to get rid of some people because they were duplicates. And we didn't really have to not invite people to the wedding. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, our wedding was great too, I have to say. We stayed till the very end with everybody else, danced the entire night. Everybody was like, when are we going to do this again?
Nice.
And we had a great wedding. But yeah, we've our marriage has been solid. And, again, through politics, I think that's kind of a rarity. I used to joke that we're the only married couple on the council. And I actually think right now, other than one, we might be
Wow.
again. But, marriages don't always last through politics. And it's, by true determination and love for each other that we stayed.
As the wife of a politician, what is the secret
Elected
sauce?
Well,
official.
he'll say he's elected
Elected
official.
official.
He took the words out of my mouth.
Very
John
fair.
will correct you and say elected official.
I love it. I like that.
What was your question though?
What is the secret sauce? What would you give to the public as the secret sauce to make it work doing that?
I think first of all, John's probably the most easy to trust man on the face of the earth. I've never had any doubts about where he is, what he's doing. We have a very, like I said, very solid foundation. Our marriage is extremely strong, and it's just been, I think, just a trust issue with us in terms of, being able to stay on task with each other. But also, John's always, if I needed something, he was there to help me. We've got 4 kids, and so I was, kind of a stay-at-home mom for the majority of our children's growing up childhood. And it was always a joke because people would say, "Are you a stay-at-home mom?" And I'd say, "No, I'm an in-the-car-mom." There's another term. It's an in-the-car-mom.
That's good.
Because I was always going wherever I was. I had all the kids in the car, going from practice to practice, dropping off kids and back again. Homework was being done in the van, so our kids' ages range 10 years apart. So our oldest, Bliss, is 28, and then we have our next one is our son, who's 23, John Jr., and then Grant, who is 21 and just graduated from UCSD.
Oh, wow.
And John graduated from UCI, and then Kennedy, who's 18 and actually does performing arts.
Nice.
Is going to be a senior this year in high school.
Very cool. Speaking of schools, I saw such a cool thing, and I know you were heavily involved, John, in the help with David Alvarez, I think, in helping get to the point where I just saw the governor signed and protected the lands for a future Chula Vista University, if I'm not mistaken there.
Correct. And we're really excited. We wanted to thank Assemblymember Alvarez for his work on that. In the 90s, the city had a vision of creating a university for the city of Chula Vista. There is no major 4-year university in the South County, and you're thinking about over 500,000 people. And when you look at a city of Chula Vista that's almost at 300,000 people, our last census is 277,000. We're the only city in California that doesn't have a four-year university that's over 200,000 people. What happened is a law called the Surplus Land Act was passed. And what that said is when you have land for a municipality and decide to look at declaring it surplus and will sell it, that it has to be affordable housing. Well, clearly on the land that we've acquired, wouldn't all be affordable housing. So we were able to make sure that we had an exemption and be able to make sure that we could move forward with the university.
And for those listening that might be concerned about affordable housing, Chula Vista is far in excess, if I'm not mistaken, of our requirements by a lot for affordable housing. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. And that's been one of the things that we've always been able to do. On the west side of the city where I grew up, when I grew up, we had about 60,000 people. Now, over the next decade, we're going to be well over 300,000 people. And as I say, we're the Anaheim of San Diego County. And we're the second largest city population-wise and geographic-wise. We're, again, 277,000. When you look at some of the other cities, even in the South County, there are 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. So we're maybe 6 times bigger than those. And if you look at all the other cities and you combine them in the South County, we still have a higher population. The idea that we are, again, moving forward with the affordable housing, our older community, most of our older communities on the west side, and we have a lion's share of providing affordable housing. But on our new master plan communities, we have all the way from the mailroom to the boardroom housing. So if you are in East Lake or you are in Otay Ranch, you can start as a entry-level couple, raise a family there, and as your family grows, you'll still be able to move up, and then ultimately, hopefully, if you're really successful, have an estate house even. But it's a great opportunity for people to stay in the community. When I grew up, my mom was a factory worker at Aurora Industries. She was a single mom, and I still remember when my friends' parents would become a little more affluent, they would move out of the community. But the master plan communities give us that opportunity to keep people in the city of Chula Vista.
I love part of when you first were elected mayor, you actually brought up a couple really key points that you spoke at the First Friday breakfast, which I'd recommend everybody attend. That is a wonderful one way to get involved and learn about your community, right? And I know that you two have been doing that for 20 plus years, where you go to those. And one of the things, though, when you said at the first time you spoke there as mayor, you brought up the fact that in the east of Chula Vista to the west, we're about the only city, I think that you said, in California where the property values are far in excess, going the wrong direction from the ocean. And having some balance will bring a stronger, healthier community. And you were talking about where affordable housing, it's important, but like you said, it's also important to have somebody that is, like I think you were mentioning your son, who is looking to go buy. He has a good job. He has all these different things, but he can't qualify to get into a home. And through the projects like the Sears project that's going on in the Chula Vista Mall, those are going to be homes that are designed not to be affordable housing, but to be priced for people to buy their first home, if I'm not mistaken. You could share a little more.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, being from Chula Vista, we want to make sure that our kids are going to be able to stay in Chula Vista and really put roots. And what's the best way for people to want to stay in a community and put in roots is for them to actually own their own house. And when my mom was raising me, we had some challenging financial times, but we were still able to do things to save our house and be a homeowner. When I actually got out of college and looked to be able to purchase a place, I still remember I only could afford $105,000 for a condo, and we bought a place, got it negotiated way down, but it was still 110. So I had to, my dining room table was a card table, and had to eat a lot of, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
A bachelor.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, John's frugality continued into our marriage as well. This is not
this
anything
is
that went
As
away.
long as there's a good television, right?
Getting through politics is easy. Being married to a frugal man is something totally different.
Yeah, and so now my son is, incredibly smart. He gets that from my wife. He has great credit, a good job with good income, even has money for a down payment. But when he's looking at purchasing a new condo for $500,000, it doesn't pencil out. And so one of my big initiatives that I've been pushing is not just affordable housing, but affordable ownership, because we can definitely provide a lot of affordable housing, but we want people to actually build that generational wealth. We want them to be able to build that equity, so when they move into a condo, they can then take that equity from the condo to move into a nicer house and keep get in that path of being able to do that. And so two major projects that we've really spearheaded and I've helped champion is one, the old Sears project. I still tease about Sears in Chula Vista was iconic. That was
those
the
were
major.
My favorite pants were those little tough skins that you
tough
used to get as a
skins.
kid.
Oh, we used to stop at the little candy shop in the store with my dad, and my dad would buy us malt balls when my mom shopped.
Nice.
And it's I still talk about when I was a kid. Sunday after church, every Sunday, my mom would bring me to Sears, and it helped create my fear of shopping.
Because
she would always.
Me too, by the way.
She refuses to go with me to the
She would always tell me that, we're only going to be here for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours later, we'd still be, Mom, can we go home? But that unfortunately, as things changed, it's now going to be turned into a townhome project with entry-level townhome ownership, which is great, 214 units.
Wow.
And it's a great opportunity for people to buy in at the entry level. The more important, or I say another important project, is the Sunbow project. And what happened was this was a light industrial area off the 805 and Olympic Parkway. And for decades, Sunbow tried to be able to sell it, bring companies in, and they just didn't have a market for it. So they wanted to then look at how they could put houses on there. And originally, when I talked to them, they were talking about apartments. And I said, hey, I think we can help you do that, but I'm only going to support this if it's 100% home ownership. And we were able to work it out, 718 units of new entry-level affordable ownership opportunities. That's now under construction. It'll be a couple months, and then I think they'll put out a list for people, and then hopefully by the next quarter of the year, they'll actually be able to sell those. And we want to make sure that if you're a nurse, if you're a police officer, if you're working inside the city of Chula Vista, that you should be able to own in the city, because we want to make sure that you have ownership, put down roots, and really can have an opportunity to stay in Chula Vista.
How, with these projects, how would someone go about applying? Will it just be kind of, there'll be a big open house and you come and apply, or will they need to go to a website or go through the city or be sold privately?
So again, what I would first do is just say, email me, because again, in a couple months, they will be launching. It's a Brookfield, and it's actually, these are going to be built by Lennar. So they're going to be putting out a website.
Okay.
And we can, this is big news because right now, when you're looking at what pencils out to build right now, obviously the estate housing, people will pay whatever they want to for those higher end housing. And then affordable housing, there's so many subsidies for these affordable rental, those seem to be built. But the middle, we call it the missing middle, are the challenging ones, where how do people who work regular jobs, are working class, that normally would be able to purchase something and own something, they're being priced out of the market. And these projects of, again, the Town Center project in the Chula Vista Shopping Center where the old Sears was, and the new Sunbow project, these are great opportunities for people who are entry level to be able to look, to be able to buy and own in the city of Chula Vista. So just email my office at jmccann, MCCANN, at chulavistaca.gov, and then we're going to try to go ahead and promote these opportunities and send you to the websites for the different developers so that they can get on the list or figure out how that they can potentially be in the running to be selected to buy one of those properties.
Awesome.
With that, obviously that's going to house, probably close to 1,000 people, right? 300 units, 2, 3 people, 4 people, some houses. That's going to be an immediate impact to the opportunities for people that really want to buy in Chula Vista, and that only scrapes the surface. Out of curiosity, do you have or do you know the amount of the statistic on how many homes we need in Chula Vista each year to basically handle the housing requests or needs?
Well, right now, I don't know the exact number, but we're behind, and not just the city of Chula Vista, but throughout the county, throughout the state. And when you look at, there was a study that was done by Point Loma Nazarene University a couple years ago with the Building Industry Association, and about 40% plus of the cost of new housing is because of government and bureaucracy. And we need to be able to streamline that. We need to be able to find ways to decrease those costs so that we can provide, and that builders and home producers can provide affordable home ownership in the future.
We've in a previous episode, we had Bill Adams here talking about ADUs and as another possible solution to the housing crisis, that people with land in the back of their homes to build an ADU. And it seems like such a smart way to go.
Yeah, and that's actually, we just are implementing something right now where many times if you wanted to create, we call it granny flat, ADU, accessory dwelling unit, where you can have maybe a family member be there with you. You would have to hire an architect, and you'd have to do all these things with these costs to be able to construct it. Well, at the City of Chula Vista, we're working with a company, and we're implementing this now. So hopefully in the next month or so, you'll be able to take advantage of this, where we're having cookie cutter programs. So if you want to look at these different models, you can go ahead, and it's already designed, and it's already something that you can fully implement. You know the square footage, so you don't have to go to an architect and build something new. You can actually select one of the models that is already there. The city already knows it, so they're going to approve it in a quicker, faster manner. And then also another idea also is that the law that's written in the state of California, currently right now, if your ADU is under 750 square feet, you don't have to pay all the impact fees. So if you can do one that is already cookie cutter and make sure that it's not over 750 square feet, then you're going to save a lot of time and a lot of money.
Awesome.
And those impact fees can be $15,000 on up. And that's pretty substantial when you're just trying to build a granny flat for your grandma.
Fantastic.
We're familiar right now with a project being done where they're turning, a house into 3 units, and it's only adding 1,000 square feet to the current structure, and it's $100,000 in permit fees.
Oh my gosh.
Which is outrageous. I mean, that's outrageous. It's no wonder there's no affordable housing in California. It's ridiculous.
And you work in Coronado, where right now they're heavily impacted by the very same rules, with the fact that they don't have any growth area.
There's no dirt.
So the only thing that could help them at all is the ADE, and it's potentially, and so they're having, I remember hearing Mayor Bailey, I think, speaking about having where the city has to start making those changes, right? That they have to start making changes to allow ADE units to be able to potentially fit into the master.
And part of the problem with that was the study that they did to determine the number of units that were in Coronado. They took into account the number of jobs that were there from the Navy, but they didn't consider the Navy housing that's on Coronado as housing. So you can't, they're not apples and apples. And so really, they were trying, it's an unfair study, in my opinion, on Coronado, because there's already Navy housing there that they didn't take into account.
Correct.
And really and truly, where are you going to build it? I mean, is someone going to bring dirt in and add it to the bay so we can extend the island? I don't know, but it just is a kind of a ridiculous, adding ADUs is great, but it's already tons of traffic.
Well, maybe they could take the dirt. Are they still going to dredge dirt at the end of East Street for like the deeper ability to get deeper boats in, or is that not for the Gaylord project?
Yeah, so that's
Port
sort of on the
table.
They're talking about it, but again,
they can put it over in Coronado.
we'll see if it actually gets implemented. But that actually leads to a really good subject. As you know, when I grew up in the city of Chula Vista, the Bayfront was essentially an industrial area. It had Rohr Industries there, aircraft manufacturer, and then it also had a power plant.
And the salt plant.
The salt plant. Yeah. Salt plant's still going to be there, but in 2003, when I was on the city council, we went ahead and master planned the Bayfront project, and 20 years later, at the speed of government, we finally have the Gaylord project being built. It's a $1.2 billion project. It is going to have approximately 4,000 construction jobs and then several thousand jobs consistently for it. And right now, it's actually the largest hotel being built in the United States.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
And it's really exciting because, we've worked on this, and the city has been visioning this for a long time. I still remember visiting my mom's house, and our old neighbor would always come over and say, "Hey, John, how's that Bayfront project coming around?" And I would go, "Oh, we're moving forward." And then he'd always tease me that the Bayfront project was or the project was around before I was even born. So we're finally getting it done, and I'm just get so excited every time I drive on the 5 by the Bayfront, because it seems like they put another story on there. So that's going to be opening in 2025, and I think it's really going to be substantially change the entire west side. It's going to give us a lot more money to be able to reinvest in the infrastructure, to be able to help maintain the western communities. And then it also, I think, is going to have a really positive input and perception for the rest of the community. And so people are going to have a much more impressive idea of what Chula Vista is, because we're a great city. Yeah. And many times when you would go around, people wouldn't always, especially if they were in North County and other places, they wouldn't have the best idea of what Chula Vista was. The city actually did a poll several years ago, and the majority of people in North County had a negative impression of the city of Chula Vista. And then when we looked at the details, over half of the people that had the negative impression didn't even ever go to Chula Vista. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think when we can have people actually come down to either the eastern communities with all their nice master plan communities, or the western side with the Gaylord and the Pacifica project coming on board, I think people are going to be very impressed. The Gaylord is going to be a 5-star project. And if anybody's ever been to a Gaylord project throughout the United States, it's very, very impressive.
I will be in the lazy river with a drink in my
Yeah.
hand.
Hey, that sounds good.
I actually saw the one in Denver, and it's amazing. It's huge, and like I say, it'll bring so many people in.